Yeah. All right. Hello, everybody. We are in the WiscWeb August Lunch and Learn. It is August 14th. We're just about to get started. My name is Jenna Klinner. I'm the service coordinator for the WiscWeb team. I'm joined here by Matt Goins, who you're hearing earlier singing a little ditty, and a couple members of the WiscWeb team. We also have Al Nemec here today from the Center for User Experience, and we have a couple of Stratcom folks as well joining us. So welcome to everyone, and we will get started here. We can take a look at the agenda first. We have some updates and reminders for all of you, and then a significant portion of this conversation will be about the Gutenberg migration. We'll do a little demo, and we have ample time to answer questions for all of you. First, I'm going to kick things over to Al, who is going to talk about some accessibility stuff. So this came up at our last Lunch and Learn. We wanted to make sure you had the latest information and some resources. So I'll kick it over to Al whenever you're ready.
Yeah, thanks, Jenna. And it's great to be here, getting a chance to catch up with all of you today. There's a lot of great questions on this that I know come around. So I'm really glad that we could coordinate work together and sort of make sure this information is more readily available to all of you. So as you get questions about any of this, feel free to either put those in chat or however what works best, I suppose. So just a couple things. First off, for example, digital accessibility scanning is a thing that I know that a number of folks have asked about, and there's a lot of work happening in this space. In particular, right now, the overall effort around this work is happening within a project called the UDAY, or University Digital Accessibility Initiative. And we are working with groups like the team here on how a lot of that testing can be leveraged in different avenues. So we're working on basically a multi-tool strategy, if you will. So there's a lot of different ways that I'm sure many of you have already perhaps even engaged with digital accessibility tools. And I'm going to name a few just so you get the references, right? But some of you used Wave or have used maybe Lighthouse or others. There's a number of tools out there. And knowing the various options and ways to use this and what is recommended is something that we're continuing to work on more of that information around. But there's some specifics as it happens with one of the enterprise tools we're working with and trying to work as close as we can, of course, with the team here to make sure that those tools can be leveraged as they develop their work. So Jenna, do you want to cover more on that Dubbot testing as well?
Yeah, so we met with Al and Leah Bowers, who's also on the call here. A couple of us from the Gutenberg team met with them to kind of talk about doing some preliminary testing of the theme. So what we're doing right now is Ketter Joyner, who's on the call, hey Ketter, has been putting together a like a web page that has a good selection of our patterns on it, so that Al and Leah can do some testing on that. And then I think the goal is like, if there's some like false positives that are happening on that page, we can kind of document that in the tooling so that if sites are tested with the bot in the future, those won't show up for you all if they're not actual barriers, which just helps you all out, allows you to know that those things are not anything that you need to be worried about. They're actually not barriers.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing here is that as we continue to work on this information, we'll have more information that comes out. It'll sort of help explain a little bit of how both the sort of work that is happening within the theme and how the different ways that you can even test your own content will sort of connect together and learn a little bit more about what things you should be looking out for. Obviously, trying to make this as smooth and as seamless as a process as it can be as well, since I know all of you spend a lot of time to make sure your content is as polished as it can be. So if there's additional questions on that, I know always happy to help answer those. But with that in mind, I want to also give you a few other updates related to digital accessibility. Just for those that may not be aware, we are also working through a lot of other things that are broadly around the digital accessibility universe, right, in space. So we were talking about things as it relates to other areas of technology related to documents and multimedia and things of that nature. A lot of these efforts are part of the upcoming changes to Title II, which you may or may not be sort of up to speed with maybe already. But the idea there is that really making sure that our approach here in the university is up to speed with everything, and that we're recognizing and following the right guidelines. So we both, a lot of this effort happening centrally is also joining and partnering with different institutions across the universities, as well as the folks in the Big Ten, and make sure that we're trying to do all the best things we can, and of course share that knowledge and different resources we have in a way that make sure that everyone has the right resources to move forward. So that in general is a lot of different work that's happening around planning, but a lot of this then circles back around to sort of these things we just talked about with the web tools, right? So this all relates together and sort of forming the best strategy to move forward. So on the next slide, I do have a couple of other quick updates as well. Just again, related pieces, because I think when we think of websites, it's not just the website. There's the other things we put on the website. So talking about PDFs or documents or other things you're producing that you may be also adding to your site, there's other tools and resources out there for also making those materials accessible. So if you haven't already, I always would encourage you to take a look at the Make It Accessible guides, which I can put a link to in chat as well. But those are out there. Just to let you know, in terms of PDFs are always the most challenging format from a document standpoint. So there's additional work happening in that space to really sort of investigate what options we have for trying to make sure that there is a cohesive strategy around handling PDFs. I would say by and large, when you can make that content web content, but that is something that we want to be aware of and know that there are certain cases where you may feel sort of required to do something in a PDF. So that work is continuing there. And lastly, from the standpoint of the overarching community support, the liaison program and the community of practice at large continues to be incredibly valuable to all of this. So I'm sure a number of you in here are part of that, and huge thanks to all of you that are doing this work in what you do. So that program continues to grow and looking forward to continuing to try to work towards additional resources and things we can provide to that group as well as things proceed forward here. So just one last reminder as well, and I can also throw a few links in here, but we also, just for those that may not be aware, there are office hours within the actual space within the Center for User Experience here. Leah Bowers, who again is in the call, as well as Danielle Peters, often staff those. So if you haven't worked with them before already, they are amazing, and will always be willing to give you a quick answer to a question, or maybe help talk about how you can make a resource more accessible. And of course, if there's something that's larger, more involved experience, we can always talk about how to sort of move that conversation forward and help you out there as well. So with that in mind, that's really most of the updates I had. I'm curious if anyone has any questions. Otherwise, I'll hand things back over to you, Jenna.
Yeah, I'll pause just in case. Any follow-up questions on that? All right. Well, thank you so much, Al. Appreciate it. We offered some links in the chat too for you, the link to the Center for User Experience resources, and Al also noted the Liaison Network link. Thank you, Al.
Really quick,
Yep.
I just want to throw in also, I should have thought of this when you were waiting appropriately, but during the knowledge-based users group meeting last week, Daniela and Leah had an excellent presentation on accessibility during that, talking about a number of things. Tables was one of the things that was chatted about, alternative text, content, making content accessible for screen readers. The session was recorded. Once we have it captioned and thrown up somewhere, I'll send that link out. But it was an excellent presentation. I really recommend people check it out when we can make it available to you.
Awesome. Thanks all. All right, moving ahead to WiscWeb service updates and reminders. So the first one here, we are planning to introduce a new policy for Gravity Forms entry retention. So if you are using Gravity Forms, what happens is when users submit forms, it creates an entry on the back end of your site, and you have the ability to kind of go and look at those entries. Some groups probably never look at this because they get an email, they don't need the entries, but some groups probably rely really heavily on entries. And what we're kind of wondering is, for those of you who do, what are the things that you're doing and how long do you need to hold on to those? The reason that we're asking is because this is sort of an area that we would like to make a little bit more secure. We worked with cybersecurity folks, and one of the ways that we can do that is not hosting those entries indefinitely. So we're looking at maybe doing a purge every so many months, but we don't want that to like impact any internal processes that you may have. So if anyone is using the entries for kind of revisiting things that people have submitted, we'd love to know how you're using them and how long you need them available for. So I'll pause and let folks add to the chat, but I'll also kind of just open that up in case there are any questions about that. Looks like Michael said, I use entries to figure out why I didn't get emails from the forms. Good call. Yes, this is one way that you can just check like, well, did it even submit? So that's good to know. Carolyn said, I think at least a year, or 6 months of retention would be helpful. That's very good to know. Thank you, Carolyn. For awareness, the guidance we received was 6 months. So it would be really helpful to know if that is too short of a time period for folks. Full academic year. Okay, thank you. Please to revisit content submitted for a newsletter and other communications. Okay. 6 months. So I think we're kind of having a few folks say 6 months to a year. Anyone able to kind of touch on what they're doing that requires the full academic year?
I will also just say, Jenny putting in that they'd like to keep theirs, just because I know I've worked on it for Jenny's, we use a Google form there. And so this conversation is separate from anything that you are collecting via a Google form. Google is, those entries are kept in a different location, and I don't know what policies happen there. These are only entries that you are collecting via a Gravity form that is placed. So not Qualtrics and not Google Forms. So I just want to make sure I re-highlight that because I don't want anybody to be confused about any other types of forms they may be using on their site.
Yeah, very good stipulation there. Thank you, Matt. We're getting some really good feedback in the chat. So some folks are noting like it's helpful to look back at the volume over time. And Brendan asks, can we export to archive the entries? Yes. The nice thing about Gravity Forms, unlike some other plugins, is that they really do have some nice exporting options. So one of the things that we would note when rolling out this change is that you can do exports of your submissions and then download that as like a CSV file or something, which is handy. Jason kind of notes that it might be helpful to get reminders, so we can look into that. Time of year. Okay, this is interesting. Yeah, it's good to know that time of year might be important for folks as well. Yeah, will they be purged in less busy months like January and
I
July?
can jump in really quick.
Yeah.
I think this would not be an individual time of year that this would be purged. It would be like a duration that entries live for. So if someone submitted a form in September and we had them live for a year, it would get deleted the next September.
Yeah, but it's interesting to hear about that just as a reminder for us. So like for us, there certainly are some times that we're busier, but what we have learned is that busy times differ across campus. So it's just a good reminder. Yeah, I did personal accounts or Google Analytics. Yeah, we haven't, Alexius, we haven't gotten to the Google conversation just yet. We're still talking about the Gravity Forms entry retention. It sounds like Jenny said it's to ensure we have accurate records for the full cycle. Yep. And Zoom videos get purged after a certain period with an email warning. Oh, that's very helpful. Thank you, Rich. All right. So I think from there, that gives us some good information to noodle on. I don't want to take up too much time. If you have additional insights, feel free to keep adding them, but I'm going to move on to the next bullet there, which is non WIS.edu domains. So we've long had a policy for several years now that we will not publish news sites to .org or non.wisc.edu domains. But in the future state, we will be requiring any that had been still standing out there that were publishing to .orgs are going to have to forward to WIS.edu in the future state. That's just because we do not have the capacity to be tinkering around in domain registrar accounts. And that's something that if you require a non-wis.edu, something that your group will need to take on. We only have a couple of these left, but just wanted to note it here. We also wanted to send a reminder about not using personal accounts for things like Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager. The reason for this is sort of two-part. I think for one, often we're seeing that folks are leaving and then the rest of the group can't get access to that information once they go. So if there's no one else on the account, that information's lost. But maybe also for kind of security reasons as well. So we're just really recommending that you set that up with like a service account where you can. And then the last update there is about Kaltura embeds. We have received a couple of reports from folks that their Kaltura videos are not embedding right now. And so we are aware, we did email about this, but just wanted to note it here for you all. It does look like something may have changed on the Kaltura side. So we are working with that team at Do It to just kind of understand the issue and figure out a possible solution. In the meantime, we recommend just linking out to that content or at least providing a link in addition to the embed, which may or may not be working. So I'll pause there because that was a lot of info. If you could go.
Touch on the Kaltura thing. So there's a group at Do It who is like the support group for Kaltura and the media space there. But Kaltura itself is a separate vendor. So we're sort of in that same spot where we are with like Google from time to time, where something changed on the vendor side and we kind of have to either scramble or change something on our end to make it work. So we've the Learn at UW folks have reached out to the vendor and created a ticket. So we're kind of in a holding pattern for that right there.
Still pausing in case there's questions.
And Eric's note in the chat there is what my experience has been as well. Any pages that I update, the Kalturas remain so long as I don't mess with the Kaltura video itself. The moment I tried to mess around and put the same link in, it breaks it there as well. And then any new ones that I try to put in also break. So yeah.
All right, I think we could proceed to the next slide then.
Yeah, and then one last thing though, I'll throw in there about the Google Tag Manager, the Google Analytics, your Google Search Console, your Google Programmable Search Engine, all of those various Google services. They are not campus supported. They are Google services that exist, but they are not campus supported Google services. So anything that happens with them, it's a best effort on our end to help support them and like try to teach you how to use them. But the other reasoning for, I shouldn't say the other reasoning, to emphasize the reasoning that Jenna gave, I would say make sure that you add an account, such as a service account, that can be an administrator for the account itself, not individual properties, because I've run into this as well, where somebody adds a service account to the property, but then there's no way to get to the administration of the account itself for Google Analytics specifically is the one we deal with. But so if you have questions about that, or if you want to make sure that you've set it up right, don't hesitate to reach out to me and set up some office hours so we can kind of go through that process as well, because we're going to hit the fall now where, new people are going to be taking a look at some of this information, or you're going to want to be sharing some of that information. And as Jenna said, turnover happens, and if you don't have access to the account, we can't really help you because we don't have access to that stuff either.
All right. So I also want to give some Udemy Theme 2.0 updates. I'm just going to reiterate just to make sure you are all aware. I think there's been some information out, but when we say Udemy Theme 2.0, that's the name of our new theme. So when we used to call it Gutenberg, we didn't have a name for it. We just called it the Gutenberg theme. But now we do have a fancy new name, and it is called Udemy Theme 2.0. So this is related to that theme. I wanted to update. We did kind of assess a few things, and there's some things that will not auto migrate. These are new things. So related posts, if you have related posts on your posts, you'll need to manually reset those for any previous posts that you had. And equal height settings, this just turned out to be kind of a tricky one. So we're not going to honor equal height, but we will give some guidance on how best to accomplish that in a future state. Noting that, and then tabs and accordions. This has come up in the past, and we had thought there might be some more restrictions. We have since revisited this. So we looked at peer institutions and kind of like accessibility guidance on this. And what we found is that most groups do not have restrictions on this, but we will be kind of, letting people know, hey, be cautious about what you put in here, test things, make sure it's user friendly, make sure it's accessible. But we had previously noted like things like spreadsheets might not work, and we are allowing those in the future state. But that doesn't mean that we think you should. So we definitely want to just caution how you approach that and make sure you're doing testing on that content as you migrate it over. I'll pause there in case there's anything else that folks would like to add about that.
Yeah, this is just sort of a walk back of what we announced in our May lunch and learn about the fact that things like HTML content or you'll see blocks being able to be put inside of tab and accordion blocks. Again, walking that back because we did a little bit of research and found that it's okay. Now, that being said, it being okay doesn't necessarily mean it would be the best way to deliver the content to your audience. So as always, make sure that you're taking user experience into account when you are making some of your design decisions. A related post, correct me if I'm wrong, Jenna, but a related post is when you create let's say a news posting at the bottom of in your site. At the bottom of a post edit window, you have the ability to add up to 3, I believe, related posts that are linked basically at the bottom of the published post that you are creating. So we're not maintaining those. It was a way to create some interlinking between like related content that you had posted earlier that you wanted people to be aware of in that new post.
Yep. I also included the KB docs so that folks can look at that. Last reminder here, our new infrastructure, we've been kind of setting up the service level settings for our new infrastructure that will support our Udemy Theme 2.0 sites. And one of the things that we looked at is the file types that you can upload to the media library. And we kind of revisited this because we were allowing some file types that would allow you to import some things that are not maybe things that we feel comfortable hosting in the service or for security reasons or maybe just for file size reasons. This is a whole bunch of different file types that might not mean a whole bunch to you, but if for folks who do use them, they may recognize them there. So just noting that will change. We are interested in hearing if you are using those just to understand the use case, but generally we're kind of making the decision to not upload. And the alternative would be to host in something like Box or another tool and link out to that content. We do have some questions in the chat. So to clarify, you're saying that HTML styles will be migrated? No. I think Matt, you might have been speaking specifically about something related to
Content. Yeah, I was speaking about the
content.
fact that that content can be used in a block when you create the block moving forward, not migrating in that content. Because we're not going to maintain like inline styling of content and things like that.
Yeah, Michael asked, how is everyone planning to overcome the enable media replace plugin going away? I use it a ton for updating headshots, student handbooks, etc. across my sites. This one's tough. I think so. This is related to caching, if you recall. And I think for some things, hosting in something like Box might be helpful because you can do that versioning and still link out. But for things like headshots, that might not work. I'll kind of open the floor in case there's thoughts on this from the team, but it might just be something that we need to explore a little bit too.
It would be glorious if WordPress innately honored versioning.
Yeah, it would be. All right, not hearing anything, but I'm going to capture this, Michael, as maybe something that we can just follow up on and reflect on as a team what our guidance would be there. Thank you for noting. Other questions? So Linda notes that she uses Box for documents and replaces the headshots manually.
Yeah.
Sean notes, isn't WebM more efficient for video than MP4 generally? Yeah, so I
The
think
file type is more efficient, but we also don't want to host videos on WiscWeb. So other video types
No.
are not allowed either.
yeah, so in current state, we don't allow video uploads of most video file types. So that's already in place and that will move forward with our new infrastructure as well. So that's just this is in addition to our current standards. Sorry, I have a cat in my yard. That's weird. Sandra's noting that there's also high use of the media replace on their site. Thank you for letting us know, Sandra. Yes, cat distribution system strikes again, Leah said. I've been chosen. It is a black cat, which is very exciting. All right, moving on. We are going to do a demo of migration. So this is the bulk of our conversation today. It's to try to show you a little bit more about that migration tooling. I do want to preface this by saying this is something we're still building out. So we have a lot of content built for migration, but we're still learning a lot. And as we test things, we are still changing things. So we're giving you a demo today with kind of an asterisk that this will change. We imagine that the way things look could change or even the process, but we want to show you what we have now because there was significant interest in understanding the process for planning purposes. So several folks last time just kind of noted it would be helpful to kind of see it so that I know how much time I need to kind of budget for this migration. So we're just going to do our best, show you what we have. We're going to answer your questions to the best of our ability, but we'll have to give updates as things change, and we hope that works for all of you. And Matt is going to kick it off today to show us the demo.
All right, let me just get myself situated here because I have one too many windows open and you're trying to do one too many things. Is that list? Okay. So let's share screen number 3 for everybody in the cheap seats. Chat again. Okay, as Jenna said, the purpose of today, the migration demo is kind of just to give you guys an idea of where we stand right now with where the tooling is, and what the process is going to look like for all of you. I'll kind of walk through what our anticipated workflow is going to be, and then we'll kind of walk through what some of these steps are going to be in the new world when we get there. So I've got a few pages here to just kind of show you what they look like via the old way. I just went through and I actually picked out just a few pages to rebuild via the old ACF way, the Advanced Custom Fields way. So you just see I've got just some, here's like a group of links list right there, text block with a button in it. I've got some images or some featured content blocks right here. And then this is actually, I grabbed the WiscWeb homepage to show off here as well. So just kind of showing you those right now. And then, so here is the internal workings of my demo site. And you can see I've got a bunch of things created because I've been testing and breaking things as I could. But like if I look at example 1, you'll see here it is built in the old way, ACF. So this is what it will be until you migrate, until your content is migrated in. So how this process will work is you will request a site. You will let us know that you want to migrate your content in. Again, this is working theory. We don't have the exact workflow in, but this is all high-level expectations. You request a site. You let us know that you want to migrate your old content in. We will create the site for you in our new environment. We will migrate that content in. What you're seeing now won't happen because I'm going to activate the new theme for us to now see what this will look like. So when your content gets migrated in, you won't, in theory, have to do this step that I'm doing right now, which is I'm going to click migrate. I'm doing that now so that I can demo this process to you. So what happens when the content gets migrated in is you will see that, and I'll show you what the main page, what the pages list looks like in a second here. But you will see now that there are classic blocks that require your attention to publish. So what that means is content that moved over from specifically like text blocks in the old way and lists in those text blocks and images that are in those text blocks, the migration path for those isn't a one-to-one thing because of the fact that they are built in that old text block editor way. And so what you have to do is when you get into here, you'll see that message that lets you know that you have classic blocks that require your attention. We have added some color coding to make it obvious to you that something needs to be done here. And the thing that we want you to do, and this is something that you're going to have to do for all of your content, is you're going to have to review it and you're going to have to convert to blocks. And so what happens now is what you'll see is that my top area got turned into a paragraph block. And then this other content in here got turned into the list block. And you can see how that was done. It just a single click separated out that content into the two spots that it needed to be in, the paragraph block and the list block. Wow, I just had a really crazy moment of deja vu because I could have sworn I've said this, but I've been talking about it so much for the past week that
in your dreams, Matt.
I feel like in my head I've said it many times, maybe like getting ready for this. It was such a weird moment there for me. Anyways, you'll notice that the button didn't need to be converted. It came over. It came over from being a button into a button block. If you look on down here to the left side, you'll see this was my group of links page element. All it did was come in as UW link options here. Yes. Yes, everybody was feeding me their excitement / trepidation. But you'll notice again, text block over here, convert to blocks. Moving on down the line, same idea here. It's a text area with some list items in there, convert to blocks. And so that's what you're going to have to do, and that's the process that you're going to have to work with. And then once I have finished going through this process, I can go over here to the page option, and there is this option now where it says content is reviewed after migration. When I click on that, the migration station collapses, and now basically I'm telling the system, I'm done reviewing this content. It's good to go. And then once that's done, I will just click save to republish it, update it, and that's how that process works. So now if I go back to my list of pages, oh no, my migration station isn't working. Do I have to refresh? Or migration status? That's not working for me. I mean, again, apologies for. So what will happen over here is you will see an in progress and you will see a completed. So there are two statuses that will appear over here on the right side. That will let you know whether or not you have content that is not yet migrated to the new content. Okay, so let me just really quick take a look at, it's not a stupid question at all. Do we hover to reveal the convert to block? So yeah, so I've got another one here. So I will go to my page. Let's go to page 2 here. So again, this process you won't have to follow. I want to make sure that I stress that because we're going to run some processes in the background that is going to make this happen for you. So you will not have to do this part. I'm going to click migrate to make it appear as expected. So now when your page has migrated in, this is what you will see when you click on it. Also, I'm just going to really quick save this. I want to see if I can get the in progress in the background. Nope, I can't get it. So what will show up over here is an in progress in this migration status column. So that's something that's not working. Again, this is my demo environment. It's not quite up to date with everything that we are tinkering with. So let me go back to page 2 now. Again, I've got 19 blocks on this. So so it's not a matter of hovering over, it's a matter of clicking into that particular area that has the warning color, the notification color in there. When you click in, that is when you get the convert to blocks option. So now I'll click it and I get, it will split it up now into a paragraph block that is that has an image that is left aligned. So does that make sense? I want to stop there to make sure that that step makes sense. You click into it, you will then see the convert to blocks, and you can click it, and that's when your content will update. So it's not a hover, it's an activation, basically. So again, there's nothing too great. We scheduled 90 minutes for this. I feel like we're going to get through this in the hour and just kind of hang out maybe for a little while. But anyways, yeah, I mean, but basically that's what the process. I'll go through here. I'll convert to blocks. Keep on going down. So here's an image that I placed above. I can just convert that. So again, now there's some, whoops, that's the wrong image. So now if I go large, I can clean up the resolution. The headlines come over. I convert to blocks again, and I can keep on going down. All right, let's make sure we go through here. Oh, Super Mario Brothers theme. Is it the same process for posts? So posts is an interesting one. Let me get back to that one, Quincy, because I'll go on a tangent with that just for a little bit. Is there a list of which classic blocks in the old theme will need to convert to blocks, or is it more complicated than that? So we will have a list of content that is migrating in. There is some content that will not migrate in, but the content that specifically needs to be converted to blocks is going to be anything that you put into a text block. So any content that was text block created will have this convert to block option. And so what you'll...
I'm going to pause just because it's actually a little bit more nuanced than that.
I was going to go into that a little bit more here. Yeah. Because what you'll see actually as you go down, so these were all text block page elements. But what you'll notice here is I had an accordion panel page element that also migrated in. The accordion panel headlines did migrate in, and the fact that it was a panel migrated in. But because the content in the accordion panel, and this will be true for tab groups, I can't remember. Are we migrating tab groups? I don't want to mistake that. Tabs will migrate
Tab
in.
tabs. So tabs, you will need to do this convert to
Yep.
blocks as
Thanks,
well
Nate.
as accordions. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So the reason why this is going to be need to be done for accordions is because the content that you create in the accordion panel and the tab group, it's using the text editor functionality. And so that's why it will also have this convert to blocks option there as well. So that's why it's a little bit weird here, and why Jenna was saying it's a little more nuanced than that. It's what I was working on previously was just things that I created straight in the text block page element. But the nuance comes into the fact that other page elements also use the same text editor that will also require um, a conversion process. So again, going on down, let me look over here. Is there anywhere where blocks don't work or look terrible? I don't
think
really know.
that's nuanced. I would say we're doing our best to make sure that content is migrating one to one as best we can, knowing that some things are just going to be really hard to create a migration path for. Are things going to look weird? Potentially, but we're trying to test for that. So what we're doing right now is starting on testing our internally some full site migrations, because up until this point, we've been testing as we go on the specific page element that we, built a migration path for, and that works really well for most stuff. But getting real content is a whole different um, assessment. And so what we're trying to find is like, oh, but if you do this weird combination of things, how does that migrate? And can we improve that experience? So I'm not going to say
Yeah.
that you won't see weird things, because you might. It might be something that we just didn't realize people were doing, or it might have been something that like we would have never recommended you do, and we're not going to build a migration path for that. And that's just simply because there's so much that is going to go into building this migration tooling, and has. Shout out to our devs, specifically Nate, who's been working on that. It's a really heavy lift. It's a hard thing to figure out a migration path for all of this content. But we're really just trying to figure out like what are all the things that we can find and fix them to make it as easy as possible for all of you. I also just want to note, because I think, some folks had noted in the chat, this is something that they're planning for, and they're maybe like the only person in their group who's managing a site, and maybe they have multiple sites under them. We're also going to do our best here in WiscWeb and see if we can pull other folks in too, to just kind of help support you in like office hours type settings. So, if you're just really confused about something, if something's not coming over right and you just need some one-on-one help, we will try to support that as best we can. We're a small team. It's not always going to be possible for us to meet regularly with folks, but we will certainly let you know about what opportunities they will be available for you. And we'll try to help you as best we can.
Yeah. I want to go back up. So Andrea answered the question about the posts process there. So posts are different because they don't have ACF applied to them. You don't add additional page elements to them. So really, posts are just using the text editor. It's just a straight text editor with, headlines and images and things like that. So we still are working on that process of what it's going to look like when it comes through. But I don't think I would be overstating it to assume that there will still be a process of conversion because of the fact that it is using that classic editor to create that content. It's just going to be a little more straightforward because it's just the text editor. So it'll just be text, headlines, images, things like that. Let's see here. Dun, 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 dun. Nate answered will text blocks with just one paragraph automatically convert. Same concept there. If it's built in the text editor, it's going to need to be converted. It's going to come through as a classic block. regardless of the length of the content. Once we convert things to blocks, can we make design choices to that page? Yes, absolutely. So that's kind of one of the things that I would encourage people to do as you are migrating your content, as you're building this out. I guess I should, let me take a step back there. Yes, you would want to. One thing to touch on that Andrew just reminded me of, thank you, is I could use let me just click out of here. So I'm just going through this and just scrolling down through. There is a way for you to use the document overview option and the list view specifically to navigate through your content. So this gets further into the weeds, and it's not that it's more advanced, it's just a different way of looking at your content. So I don't want people to get overwhelmed by the number of things you see here. But as part of the migration process, your content will get moved over into blocks, classic block, image block, headline, whatever it might be. But that content is going to come over together as a group block. And so now what I can do is in this document overview and in the list view, I can use this to kind of bounce through now and see the various locations that that content was migrated into. I can then expand them into the sub blocks that are a part of the group block. And then I can also see there what blocks were created.
I also wanted to know, when we do this process, we're kind of making a database copy of your existing site and putting it in the new infrastructure, but it's not live. So until you schedule a new launch and you've
Yeah.
built out, you've ensured that your content is migrated and looks the way you want, this won't be public to anyone. Your old site will still exist in the old location and be live for folks until you schedule that launch and we actually cut over. So you can continue working on this content as you go, and make edits to things without it being visible to your users, if that helps.
Yeah.
I also, Mhm.
Yeah, I'll answer Lisa's question as well. But like I want to reiterate, so there's the process is where's my camera? There it is. You request the site, we migrate the site, you review and update your content as needed in sort of like a sandbox area, similar to like those of you who have requested new sites. It's in our environment until you launch it. Then you request the launch. So then you will request your launch, and then all of your content will be live, and it will replace the URL. So migration tool is still all or nothing. So yeah, so the way that our process will work is if you request a site and request that site to be migrated, we are migrating the whole site over. As Jenna just said, we're taking a copy and running it through our process and moving it into our new environment migrated in. So like in your case, Lisa, and I think we've had this conversation in the past, and I've had it with a number of people as well. If there are only a couple of things that you're thinking about bringing over, but you're kind of wanting to start with a fresh slate, you might want to just request a from scratch site and just build anew instead of the migration process. And again, the ability to migrate is going to come later. We're going to start with new site requests first so that we can start ramping some things up. And then we will start the migration process as well. So yeah, it's all or nothing from the migration standpoint. Jenna just answered, but Adrian asked, is there a ultimate cutover date? We haven't yet announced anything about when our ultimate sort of like you must be finished by this date is, but we know that sites that will we want sites to be launched and fully migrated by the end of calendar year 2026.
Yeah. Yeah, still shooting for fall for that initial launch. As a reminder, our initial launch when we launch the theme is just for sites that are building from scratch, and then a couple weeks later we'll open it up for migrations. That's still the plan, and that just allows us to stress test our infrastructure before putting a bunch of migrated sites on it. But we'll certainly be letting you know in multiple avenues when everything is launched and when you'd be able to request that migration process. I also just wanted to note, Matt, can you click on the page tab in where you are? I think you covered this, but I really just want to reiterate, if you haven't gotten through all the classic blocks on a particular page, you'll still see this little announcement. There are classic blocks on this page. So that's to kind of indicate to you whether or not you've missed anything. So I know folks are kind of wondering, like, do I have to update this? What kinds of content get updated? This is just a helpful tool for kind of cueing you in on whether or not you've hit them all. And you won't be able to mark the page as migrated until until all the classic blocks are gone. So reiterating that for awareness.
I know we're butting up against 1 o'clock now, and we can stay longer, but I do want to make sure throw all the flowers at Nate Finch's feet for all the work that he has done from the Office of Strategic Communication. I want to make sure that he gets his public dues because he has put a lot of effort into not only making this work, but then taking the critique and the feedback that Jenna and I give him. And I am very critical of some of these things because I like poking holes at things. But he takes all that feedback, all that critique, and he just continues to improve this process. This process wasn't like this when we first started. There was much more manual process for you all. And we continue to just improve it to ease this so much for all of you to just make it simply review your content and make sure it came over the way that you wanted it to, and then publish the page. That's really what we're getting to at the end of this, and that really does fall all on Nate's shoulders in the effort that he has done. So,
yeah, I think also Nate's just awesome. So if you haven't had a chance to meet him, just the coolest guy. So we're very lucky to work with him. There are other devs that have helped as well. Just shout out to all the Stratcom and WiscWeb devs who've been working on this project, and the design team and the Center for User Experience. It's been a really collaborative effort, and we have a great team. We're so grateful for everyone working on it. And we appreciate all of you as well. We're really doing our best. It's a tough job, but we're doing our best to get you what you need, and we'll continue refining to try to improve that experience for you.
Yeah. So we can stick around. If you have to leave, I understand. We extended this. I'll just kind of run through one more migration just to show you what it looks like. So I have the WiscWeb homepage. Now, obviously the WiscWeb homepage does not have a hero image on it, but I added a hero image just so you could see what a hero image would look like when it migrates. And remember, we're only migrating over heroes that are image only. We aren't migrating over heroes that have headlines or the featured content insets within them. We are only migrating over the image only heroes. So you'll have to recreate those. But the benefit of this is when the hero block, when the hero image gets migrated in, it gets migrated into what we call the cover block. And then the cover block actually would allow me to add a heading down here if I wanted to. That's really not very accessible, but I could play around with that a little bit if I wanted to make it look better. I can move it to the right side as well. Oh, hey, yeah, there we go. Over here, lower right. There we go. So I could do that a little bit to make it stand out a little bit more. I could do some things with this. But I'm just showing you that the hero block will come over into the cover block. Then you have a few more options to tinker around with the cover block. I'll also take this opportunity to, and this is something that gets reiterated to me a lot because I do a lot of hand creation, but I want to make sure that people are aware of the fact that we are building out so many patterns for people to take advantage of. So like the idea of a homepage If we go to page layouts, there's a mocked up homepage right down here that I could apply. And instead of worrying about migrating content, I could just recreate my content using a pre-designed pattern that the team has worked on. So will the headlines or the contents heroes vanish in migration? I guess I will leave that. I guess I'll
I can
yield to.
chat through that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what we've decided for heroes, I think we did talk about this at a previous one, but I can kind of reiterate for folks who might not have been at that one. So for hero images, it's challenging because we have beautiful patterns available, but they're not necessarily a one-to-one match for what had been in the UW Theme Classic view. So we don't want to assume what you might want to port that over to. So if it's just a static image, it doesn't have a hero content inset, it doesn't have a headline, we'll migrate that static image over. If it's a carousel that just has static images but doesn't use hero content inset or headline, that'll migrate over. But if you use headline or hero content inset either on a either on a single banner image, hero banner image, or in a carousel, we're not going to migrate that one-to-one. And the reason is we want to give you the opportunity to choose which pattern works best for the type of content that you have in there. So hopefully that makes sense, but I'll pause here in case there's questions around that.
Mm-hmm. And then Justin also asked, does the cover block get treated as readable text for screen readers? Ketter answered that with yes, it does. And then Andrea followed up with, the block editor has great tools for adding alt text to background. So I just wanted to point out the fact that on page, if I just simply click on an image, I get access to the alternative text. So I can edit it there as needed.
There's also a question about what won't migrate. Yes, we do have documentation on this. It is being updated regularly though, so I'll point out a new resource. It's still in development, but what we're doing is WiscWeb has some documentation already on our website. We have not redirected this to the KB yet because it's still in the works, but I do have the KB docs launched, so I'm going to put that link in the chat. Mutation in the KB. So this has a link to, this link goes off to some updated information for you all that will continue to be refined as we learn more. If Matt, you could open that in your window, that KB link.
Mm-hmm.
So here is the new documentation, just really making sure you know this is still being worked on. But if you click on the element conversion link, this is where we're kind of revising that existing documentation that we had. If you scroll down a little bit, we had this table to show you like, hey, what's the status on things being built? We're kind of using this for dual purpose now, both sharing the status and any migration nuance that you might need to be aware of. So keep an eye on that notes column. That's where we're putting some information about like anything you might need to know about migration, including like if this will not migrate. There are some things that are like we're choosing to not support in the future state in WiscWeb. That is going to be located elsewhere. But generally, if you're just wondering like, hey, what can I expect with the migration for this tool? That's where we'll put that information and it will be updated as we learn more. We might find a better path for things and then be able to like migrate it one-to-one and then we'll update this. But that's where we want you to look for that info. And then if you go back, Matt, we have some simple instructions right now in the migration process section. This is also something that's being revised as we learn more, but this is just we're putting it out there so that you can kind of review and have an understanding of what to expect, subject to change. We don't have imagery in here right now. I do understand that images really, really help. We're purposely not putting that in yet because this might change. So we don't want to do all that work of putting in images and then they're inaccurate. So right now it's just instructions. And also noting we do plan on recording training sessions. Those are not done yet because the tooling's not finished yet. Again, we don't want to create videos if the tooling is going to change. So the training session, pre-recorded training session note here is just noting like, if you're going through this, we're going to recommend that you go through that training, even if you run through all of this documentation here in the KB. Still going to be good to watch those before you get working. Those will be coming soon as well. And then if you go back to that main page, yeah, service changes is another area to just kind of keep an eye on. So this is where we're documenting WiscWeb specific changes that we're making in that future state that you might need to be aware of. Things like we won't be allowing commenting in the future. That's a security risk. Any tooling that we won't be providing for whatever reason. We're trying to be very candid about what won't be there and why, and we're putting it all there. So you will have that information that's also being regularly updated.
Yes. Let me see here. There's some questions that are going up here. We have a list of what won't migrate already. I think we just shared that, Kaylee. So just that's in the links below. If there isn't a one-to-one migration for images with text, how would that appear if there isn't? So I brought this one up because the way that images in text works is this was a headline, this was an image in that text block, and then I added some bullets in there as well. So what happened was the headline migrated over into the headline or heading block. Heading, I keep saying headline, sorry. The image came over as its own image block as well. The process that you're going to have to watch out for is the images are going to come over aligned the way that you had them aligned in your text block, but that might not look the best when it actually lands on the migrated page. So you're going to have to just watch out for that. So now if I convert the blocks here.
Yeah, I'm going to add a caveat. Alignment is weird. Alignment's
Yes.
really
Yes.
hard to create a migration path for. So please expect that you might have to realign things. That includes images, headlines, buttons, text, just because we've really tried to figure out a way to kind of honor the alignment, but it is just tricky and it's so easy to just update it. So we'd rather put our time and energy into like making sure other things map one-to-one that would be trickier for you all. And then we can circle back to that if we have time, but just expect that you might have to do some alignment stuff.
So something gets wildly foobarred. Can we ask you for a whole new migration? Jenna, I guess that's a you
Lisa,
question.
what are you going to do to this site? I'm just kidding. That's a great question. Honestly, something that we hadn't really planned for yet because with how things are right now, the migrations tooling is looking really good, and we don't anticipate that, like your whole site is going to get, as you say, foobarred. But I think that's something that we can just kind of noodle on for next time and see what we might recommend for that.
Yeah.
I think the button will still exist if you do goof up a page to reset the page back, correct? So if you hit migrate again, that will reset it back to what it originally was.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's future state though.
Yeah, and I also think like if you've already marked it as complete, I don't know if you'd be able to, but
yeah.
But those are things that we're still figuring out, and we will keep you posted on.
Yep. Let's see here. Testing content generally, is there a Web 101 resource, things to watch out for as you are building your content, best practices, things like that. So Keter answered this in the chat, but I'll state it here as well. It's something that we are interested in, that kind of information for, because I think my name is your name. Oh, Kendrick. Yeah. And Keter gave a resource of a checklist in there of things like that. It is something that we have considered. It's something that Keter and I have actually chatted about in some of our meetings as well, as kind of like what to think about when you're building your content, like a sort of like a design blueprint of like things to look for, user experience, accessibility, mobile view, things like that. We've thought about it. Hearing this type of thing, it just adds one more piece of information to our sort of our conversations and sort of like future hopes as well. So we're excited about that. For sites that are not launched yet but in progress, will the content go through a migration step or have to be built from scratch in the new theme? Jenna, you're shaking your head yes, but I don't know which.
Sorry, I
I
was
don't know which
typing.
yes that's for.
Type in a response. Yes.
Oh, there you go.
So let's say you have like a classic theme site right now in WiscWeb that you haven't launched yet. Yes, that content still needs to migrate. There's kind of two different paths I can think of. Like one is if timeline is not an you know, anything that you're worried about, you could decide to just pause. And then once we open up the ability to build from scratch, you could just request a new Gutenberg site and kind of rebuild from there. It depends on how deep you are in the site setup process and, you know, whether you're okay with losing some work, things like that. Otherwise, yes, you will need to migrate that content by the end of 2026. It has to be in Gutenberg by the end of the year. So that will still have to go through the process, even if the site is not launched.
There you go. People will not be allowed to comment on posts in the future. Is there an alternative? I don't know. I guess that's something that we
I
could
think
take a look at. There won't be an alternative within our
yeah.
service.
Not in, yeah, and that's like as the documentation shows, that's just a security risk, and that
Yeah.
is not something we feel comfortable supporting in the future. But I know that groups have used like various social networks for this purpose, or even like chat tooling. But yeah, you won't have commenting available in WiscWeb specifically.
Yeah. And I don't know about an alternative, unfortunately. There's no, we don't, yeah, we don't. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Too early to ask. Reusable content. So reusable content is how's that going to work? Because it's going to come over as short code text, right?
Yeah, so we won't be supporting the reusable content plugin because the block editor / Gutenberg natively offers this ability to create,
Synced
patterns.
patterns.
Yeah, and so that content's not going to migrate. If you have reusable content, you're going to have to recreate it manually as a pattern, sync pattern, and more to come on that. I think that's an area we haven't had an opportunity to explore
Yeah.
at great length yet. But I would expect that to be a manual process. And in terms of notation, there's nothing planned currently on that. You would see a short code on the page, but that's a good note that we can definitely noodle on.
Yeah. I was trying to think about that, and I don't know how a short code comes over when we migrate something over. If it just comes over as just part of the text block because you're just putting text in the text block of the short code, that might be one indicator for you to create your synced pattern. So a synced pattern is a pattern that you create once. It's the same content. You can use it over. It's the same idea as reusable content. It's just you can use it over and over again and just edit the synced value there and it will update across the board. So it's the same idea as reusable content, but it already has a function within Gutenberg called the pattern, the sync pattern. So my guess would be that like wherever you find that short code published in a text block, just update it to drop in your synced pattern and then just delete out the paragraph tag with the short code in it. That might be the manual way of doing it from that standpoint. Few customizations on the graduate school. That's a Jenna question, but I don't know what customizations grad school has. So let's talk later, Megan.
Yeah, I just added a note, like just
Okay.
for awareness, like for everyone, we don't support iframes in WiscWeb. That was a decision made years ago. So we don't support them in current state and won't support them in the future state. However, I'm familiar with this customization that you're talking about, Megan, and I think we should just probably reconnect on the plan and we can kind of chat through options there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pete's just asking, hi Pete,
Hello,
asking
Pete.
about timeline. We did talk about time a little bit. We're still planning
Yeah.
on fall launch. We have not announced an official launch date. We do know we're, shooting for fall. And the initial launch will just be for sites that want to build from scratch. And then a couple weeks later, we'll open it up for migrating sites. Pete, I know you have a site outside of WiscWeb though. Yeah, and so I think Keter already provided the resource, but for those who are like distributed developers, non-WiscWeb users who are interested in UW Theme 2.0, we have a handy little page now. Shout out to Keter. Looks amazing. That just provides some details for you all. That's linked in that thread for you. That provides some more details on what that experience might be like for you.
Yep. Lots of good questions. Lots of good questions. I'm gonna figure out how I might just share the Zoom link to everybody so that the chat can be a part of the Zoom link as well, because I think that'll be an important
Yeah,
part of this as well. Just a lot of good answers and good questions that I think people
really
would
good
be
questions. Yeah.
willing to or
It's
interested in seeing.
super helpful for us. Thank you to all of you. I know there's several who have had to leave, but thank you to all of you for kind of bringing up your questions. It's extremely insightful for us to hear these questions and understand how you're using things and where we might need to put our time and energy. So really appreciate it. Oh, that's interesting. Thanks for noting that page. So Paige noted that they use reusable content on their news stories as a consistent sign up for the email button. Yeah, so that's a really great example of somewhere a pattern will be really helpful in the future.
Yeah, Linda, you may ask about alt text because I have something else exciting that I should have shown while people were still around. I forgot to do this. So go ahead and ask while I convert to blocks.
Okay, so can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So my supervisor went to a social media presentation in June, and one of the things that came up there was that we were supposed to be using much more descriptive information about, like if there's a headshot of someone, we're meant to describe, what they look like, so forth. And that is not what any of the documentation says. So I'm like really confused. And Matt,
Mhm.
this is what I kept trying to schedule with you, and I kept missing my
Yeah.
appointments. I apologize for that.
No, that's fine.
But so this is like really kind of stressful for me too, because that's a
Yeah.
huge change from what we've always known and what's documented.
Yeah.
What do you guys think
I
about that?
I'm going to give an official answer here, Matt. I'm sorry, cutting in just so that we are not the authority on accessibility, nor are we're just not the team to ask about like the guidance there. But what we can do is try to put you in touch with folks who can give you some answers to that. But it sounds like, is it true that you went to a conference, did you say?
My
Or
supervisor
supervisor.
went to, no, she went to it was on campus. And it
Oh, it
was a
was on
social
campus. Okay.
media. It's a social media
Ah,
group. I don't know if it's
So
okay.
yeah.
I was gonna say, so I think I still have your email, Linda, from when
Yeah.
you originally asked me, and I said let's chat about it in office hours. I think what I'll do is I will take that information and I'll just run it through our Center for User Experience folks to get an official answer from them, and then I'll add it as part of information in the future, and then we can take a look at our documentation as well to make sure that our documentation reflects upon what
Yeah.
their official recommendation is.
Yeah, I just don't want to
Okay.
like say anything and then it's
Yo, yeah,
not
no.
what they've been
Yeah,
kind of suggesting. So it's best if we kind of just work with those folks and
yeah,
confirm. Sorry that we can't give an answer
yeah.
No, that's
today,
But
okay.
but we will definitely
yeah,
follow up.
But what I'm
I
thinking is like alt text is always such a, you want to do it right. And so
yeah,
if this is a huge change from what any of the, if you look at the laws, if you look at the regulations, it's very different, even from what we're saying on campus. And if that's the case,
yeah,
there should be a presentation to us about these changes, I think.
yeah.
I
And
would,
that's Yeah, and I have to remember, I don't remember because we talked about so many things during the KB one that I'm curious if it came up during that KB presentation last week as well. So I'm gonna again,
Sounds,
we'll
yeah,
follow up.
yeah, sounds like it might have also been talked about at a recent design community event. So yeah, we'll see what we
I
can find
appreciate
out for
that.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
I also wanted to say for the 60-ish of you that are still around, not counting all of my teammates and friends, um, one of the drums that I have been banging since we went to WordPress is the fact that on page, you don't know whether or not you have alt text applied. And it's one of the things that I will say is the biggest culprit of our accessibility concerns for your sites across the board. So what was added in eh, is now when an image on your page has no alt text applied to it, in the editor window, there is a little um, notifier that lets you know that an image has no alt text. And I can't tell you how I think it was Josh Chalkus who was the one who set this up. And like I could hug him a million times for putting this in place because of the fact that I've always wanted some way for you all as editors and admins to be able to see that you're missing alt text on a page or on a post or anything like that. So yeah, I'm so excited for the fact that this is in there now. I can't tell you how excited. I was so excited when he presented it. I'm still excited about it. I love that this is there. So this will be
Yeah.
such a great a great benefit to you all to make sure that you're keeping up with your accessibility needs.
And something that we're looking into is we're aware that, not all images need alt text. So we're looking into opportunities for further advancing this technology to kind of provide for that nuance, but that might be something that comes a little bit later. So just noting like we are thinking about it,
Yep.
and that's to come.
Okay, 119, 120-ish. Any last questions before we call this a meeting?
I don't think we circled back to the question. Maybe we did, but there was a
Oh,
question very early on about posts. And I will just note we're still exploring posts. So
yeah.
we do know that that does currently migrate into a classic block, but we're investigating what might be done there, and more information will be provided in the future when we have a little bit more time to explore those specifically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
You know
I
what?
think Nate pushed out an update, so you could try
I
reactivating the plugin if you want.
I don't know if I want to. Okay. All right. So let me click save here. Let's go back. Let's go to my plugins. This is is it um, which one is it? I don't
The
actually
one you're
know.
hovering.
Yeah, the
Oh, this
coworker
one.
plugin.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. It's turn it on, turn it off and on.
Oh yeah.
All right. Deactivated, hard refresh, activate. I'm flipping the switch. Okay, let's go back to the pages list now. Hey, Opa! There we go. It only shows for the complete one, though, not the in progress. Ah,
Yeah, the in progress ones aren't showing up because there's no meta there because we haven't run that site-wide script
oh,
there.
yeah,
But
that's
if
right. The
you go
script.
into
Yep.
one of those and like flip it back over to in progress and save it, then
Yeah.
it's in
Let's
progress.
let's go to 3 here. Let's migrate it in. It's still there. If I click save, go back. Nope. Let's go back to 3. I'll just let's convert to block. That was my 1. Reviewed and migrated. Let me uncheck it. Save. Save. Oh, I clicked migrate again.
I was
Too many
gonna say, I'm
buttons
like,
to click. Too many buttons to go. Anyways, so so the reason why I'm not seeing so Nate had demoed it to us in his local environment, so it was working. It's working there. With confidence, I can say that when we get this process going, this column will show you. So we'll announce this. We'll do this at next month's Lunch and Learn. I don't want to talk about it now because too many people have left. You'll see this column here. It will have the migration status value as either in progress or complete. There will also be a filter up here to filter these items as well. So I guess technically they are all in progress.
Yeah.
So anyways, it'll work. Like Nate said, 60% of the time it works every time. Yeah.
There was a question about alt text. If add alt text on a page, it is only on that page, not staying with the image. I think this
Yep.
is kind of talking about the nuance with how WordPress treats the alt text. When you add alt text, if you add it right when you're uploading the image, that's what gets set. It's going to put that on the page, so whatever you had right then. And then if you change that alt text in the media library, it's not going to retroactively update it on all the pages that image existed. I think the reason for that is you might want a specific alt text on a specific page for a specific reason, and it might be different on a different page depending on the context. But it is a little bit challenging, and that is how it works.
Yeah.
And that's just
So
native WordPress thing.
yeah, I'll just show it. So what Jenna's saying is like if I just drag and drop a media item up here, I have not yet placed this media item anywhere in my site. If I add alt text to it now, boy, spell live, why don't you, Matt? There you go. So I added that alt text. A green hummingbird hovers near a yellow flower, and it saves to it now. So now what happens is that alt text that I applied to this media item right here will follow it to every page that I add it to. Not after the fact, only now that when I add it will that alt text be applied. But any alt text that is not applied here, so like here's one, this big W. If I were to put this on a page and it would come through with no alt text and I updated the alt text on the page, it's only coded on that individual page. It's not site-wide. So yeah. Clean up our website back in before initiating our migration. I mean, that's something that I guess I would say to anybody, regardless of migration status. I would say every year, I think I say this every year when we get to our September Lunch and Learn, like it's the start of the semester. It's spring cleaning, fall cleaning time. It's go through, make sure you get rid of users that no longer need to have access to edit or administrate your site. Go through your content, make sure it's updated and accurate. Go through your analytics if you're using it. Make sure you know what pages are being visited and not being visited. And then go through and get rid of any content that you don't want or don't need anymore. Yeah, so that would be my thing is just I would recommend that at any point, regardless of whether you're in WiscWeb, you're self-hosted, you're migrating, you're not migrating. That's just good practice overall, is to keep a tab on all the stuff you have, because your website is literally like a basement. It starts collecting all kinds of things, and you really do need to clean it out from time to time. Let's see here. So long as you're alting, so Adrienne, I want to add a caveat to what Nate just confirmed to you. The caveat is if this image right here, where'd my W go? There it is. Nope, that's not my W. There's my W. If this image is already placed on 3 or 4 different pages, the alt text is not assigned to it. So if I add alt text here and save it, it will only apply when I add this to new content or add this as new content. It will not update the ones that you have already placed, because those ones that are already placed are hand-coded, or I shouldn't say hand-coded, hard-coded in as part of the code now, the HTML essentially. So that's why what Deborah just said, Best practice is add the alt text when you add the media right away. Before you even put it on a page, add the alt text right away. And then there are some times when, like if I go to my pages and I'm editing a page here, like for this one, for example, and I just go ahead and I drop in an image and I can upload it. You all don't need to see my download section for all the things I've been building over the past couple weeks. So let's go with Hummingbird 3, open. Again, I've added it to this page, not directly to the media library. So when I now add alt text to it here, it's adding it here. So I want to make sure. So, but now with the nifty missing alt text, yep. So you can kind of see now I haven't added my alt text yet. We have that thing right there. So, yep. And I think I'm correct in saying that. I guess I'll yield to either Andrea or Ketter or anybody else who knows this a little bit better. If I add alt text here and save this page, the alt text is still only here. It's not to the file. And I guess I can test it right now. Why don't I just test it instead of asking questions, Matt? Why don't you just tell me what's in there?
You
Yep.
are right. Yeah.
Yep. So right, it did not add that alt text to the file itself. So there you go.
Yeah, you have to add the alt text to the image or images in the media library. When you're adding an image on a page and change the alt text, it doesn't pop, it doesn't like save that to the image and has to be at the media library level.
Matt, if you go back to the media library too and switch to the list view in the top left, there you go. We did add this column so you can see which images you've had alt text added, but yeah, this is at the upload level, not at the page level.
Yep. All right. Too much good stuff. Will this be true in 2.0? Yes, because this is 2.0. You're looking at 2.0, Linda. All right, we're butting up against 1:30. I've kept everybody long enough. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to stop recording. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Don't hesitate to reach out with questions.